I don't see how we can make bigger enemies.
To be offended or frightened of everything.
So you've become like the sort of Tony Scarface of podcasting.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the morning show. Happy Wednesday to you. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. We love you. Already people in the chat room. I was just saying before we went live, there's people that are just waiting for us to start every week. And I don't know, it feels good.
Ones of people.
Ones of people.
Who's we, by the way? You said we love you. Including me.
Collectively.
The royal we.
Oh,
It's known as the royal we. Like the Queen used to say, we are not amused.
We are not what?
We are not amused.
That's Poseidon over there commanding the show. I am Poseidon.com, the Poseidon69 on all social media platforms. It was a fucking annoying drive, like every Wednesday, stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
The only good thing about being stuck in traffic is that I was able to listen to the entire second episode of this season, standing by the Terry and Ted podcast.
Oh, did you?
With a friend of the show here, Freeway Frank. And we got Ted Bird over here to this morning.
That episode dropped this morning at 7 o'clock. You can find it on YouTube. You can download it at all the usual places where you download your podcasts. How did you like the story about Frank? Frank is from St. Leonard. He's an East End Montreal Italian. And in radio, normally, or at least back in the day, the thing, when you started your career, you'd go to a small town. That's how you got experience by going to a small town. And Frank said, when his first program director of Montreal said, you're going to have to move to a small town and work your way up. And he goes, I can't. My parents will kill me. Are Greek parents like that too? They don't want you to move away?
Sure. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah? What are you going to eat?
I'm gonna call.
What do you need? What do you eat? You're going to die. You're going to starve.
I'm gonna tell you a story. The story of when I moved out. I moved out literally 30-second drive away. When I moved out of my mom's place. This was in 2019. When I tell you the scene that she caused, insult me, fuck you, asshole. I'm 2
She
minutes
was saying
down.
that to you?
Yeah, I'm 2 minutes down the
Because you
street.
moved out.
She got offended.
She
They
kept-
take it personally. Why? We're not good enough for you.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're leaving?
I'm growing up.
Who's going to treat you better than we are?
I'm a grown up
Nobody.
now. I'm fucking moving out.
And not just that, I had to move out because she called the cops on me twice
That's nice. While you're living with her.
while I was living with her.
My
and
dad-
paying the bills, mind you.
My dad was excellent at using sarcasm. So when I told him once, I'll move out, he goes, oh, that's a great idea. He goes, I'll get you a couple chickens. I go, I go, what? He goes, yeah, I'll get you a couple chickens because or else who's going to pick up all the worms that are going to be left in your apartment? Who's going to take care of you?
When I moved out, I was so, like, my parents were glad to see me go. It wasn't like, get the fuck out of here. It was like, okay, I was 18 years old. I was going to school. I grew up in Fredericton, and I moved to Charlottetown, PEI to go to school. And they paid for my apartment and my school, and they were glad to see me go. And I was so, like, babied growing up and so clued out about living on my own. I bought some hamburgers, some ground beef. I had no idea that meat went bad. Not a clue.
Oh, no.
And I opened the fridge one day and I was like, fuck, man, something stinks. What the fuck is going on here? And it was the hamburger that had been in the fridge for like 3 weeks or whatever.
No.
Yeah, so I learned the hard way. My son, Sam Bird, is here today.
We got two birds today.
Yeah. Sam's in from Toronto. Sam moved away, 4 years ago now, Sam?
September will be 3 years.
Yeah. Nobody was mad at you or upset that you were moving. Mom wasn't mad or upset, was she?
No, well, she was like sad to see me go.
Yeah, but she wasn't. But she understood this is part of the process of growing up, and moving on, becoming an adult.
Yes, but she had a rule that I had to come home once a month. So that was her rule. But she knew, like, okay, it's time to go, but you come home to your mommy once a month.
Okay.
How does it feel to know that your parents loved you less than our Greek parents? Sure, get the fuck out. That's a joke.
No, it's funny. It's a whole. I guess the WASP mentality is just different. When I say WASP, I'm a Protestant, but Sam's mom is a Catholic.
Yeah.
It's just. I guess it's a different mentality.
You know, look, and we're the new generation now. So let's say Poseidon, you have kids.
Yeah, well, your parents are both from the old country, right?
Exactly. So I get. You know, I mean, that's the environment that we grew up in, right? So we're like, okay, that's how they are. We can't move out until you're married or until you're old enough to man up and say, look, it's time that I go, kind of thing, right? Which usually happens around the age of 30 if you're not married. that's when you man up to your parents.
At 30.
If you're Greek.
Yeah, that's funny.
So let's say you have kids now, and they tell you at 18, 19, I think I'm moving out. I don't know if I'm going to like it either.
Here's the rule I have. If I feed you, clothe you, house you for 18 years, you must then pay bills for 18 years.
So the first 18 are free?
First 18 are free, and then your trial expires. Then you got to pay my bills, bro. Then you gotta,
if not,
you
just
gotta
fuck
give me
off.
back. Yeah, if not, just leave.
Yeah, I can't do that. I won't do that.
I'm not like that at all.
I'm joking. I wouldn't actually.
Sure.
I was happy when Sam moved to Toronto because I knew he was pursuing what he wanted to pursue.
Right.
I was happy when his older sister Lauren moved to Paris. She went to Paris to do a PhD in art history. And I mean, that's the other side of the ocean, but I was really happy for her. I thought that's so fucking cool.
I think
she's moving to Paris.
I think for stuff like that, I don't think there'd be any problem. Like when I moved to Greece, there wasn't any issue. Of course, they were sad. Your kid is moving away, right? Mm-hmm. Like they left under whatever circumstances they left to come for a better life, and then here you are going back. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, we moved here for a better life. Right. Why would you go anywhere else, kind of thing, right?
But this is what, 30 years later? 30 years after they moved here?
Probably more,
a very different situation.
Exactly.
In Greece today than when they came.
But they were still very supportive, right? I mean, for stuff like that, when it's about you, your development, your school, a job, or whatever, I don't see how they'd be like, no, fuck off, you're staying here. I don't care. You're going to miss that opportunity. Like, I don't think that would ever happen. But if you were living here, working here, right? It's like, well, why would you?
Why would you get your own place when you could live at home?
And I don't think it's a matter of. This craziness that they have about, no, you're going to stay here, like that strict mentality. I think it's more to do with them not wanting you to spend money uselessly. Why the fuck would you go spend $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a month, then your living expenses, your food, your insurances, cars, whatever, when you can save a shitload of money by just staying here? Just don't worry about it.
To me, my answer to that would be, to learn about independence and about supporting yourself. My first wife was Italian from Italy, and her parents, I took them to Da Vinci one night because they were so good to me. Yeah. I thought I want to do something for them. I took them to Da Vinci, very expensive Italian restaurant.
Yeah. The worst thing you can do.
I know. Yeah. They were like, what's wrong with you? Why are you spending all this money? Exactly. I could have made this for you at home. Like they didn't understand the concept of letting someone else do something for you.
My dad turned 80 in January this year, and we were thinking with my brother and sister to throw a little party. It's 80 years old. I mean, it's an important kind of, age thing. But then some people got sick, and my sister's like, let's postpone it. I'm like, fuck it. Yeah, I'm not going to wait. So I go, look, until you figure it out, whatever you want to do with the party thing, we'll take them for dinner, whatever. So I called and I didn't tell my mom anything. I go, look, I don't know, it was a Friday or Saturday. I go, get ready. We're going to come pick you up, and we're going to go eat somewhere nice, I couldn't tell them where I would bring them because the answer would be no, fuck off. Why don't you come over and I'll make you food? Yeah. Like, you know how they are, right? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to tell them. Just get dressed nicely and we're going to go eat somewhere nice. So we pick him up. And we went to Milos on Park Avenue.
That's the best Greek restaurant
I love
in town,
it.
right?
It's the
and
fucking best restaurant.
But it costs a fortune, right? Very upscale.
But it's not that expensive.
Okay.
Like I think I've been to more expensive places.
Okay.
But if anyone's interested, just a side note, Milos has an amazing lunch menu where you can go and eat at Milos for like around $30 for lunch.
That's not bad these days. That's pretty
It's
good.
amazing. It's amazing. So we pick him up, and then my dad right away. So where are we going? I'm like, don't worry, man. Where we're going, just whatever. Just enjoy the day. Just enjoy the night, whatever. And, Park X to Park Avenue, like it's like a 10-minute drive, not even 5-minute drive. So we pull around. And I leave the car for the valet to come, and he turns around and he's like, "What? What are you talking? What? Are you fucking crazy? Have you lost your mind in the car?" I'm like, "Just shut up, man. Get out. What's the problem?" He's like, "What are you crazy?" Well, just because he saw it. So you know what the answer you're gonna get. So I didn't tell him anything. Finally, they have no choice once you're there.
Yeah.
Funny story though. When we finished, so we paid for everything, and he goes. He goes, "Do you want any money?" I'm like, "No, man. What are you talking about? What do you mean?" He goes, "Okay, let me just tip the driver." I'm like, "Okay, tip the driver." So we're going out, and there's the doorman opening the door, and he thought that was the driver, and he tips the guy. And I'm telling him, "That's not the fucking driver. That's not the driver." I'm telling him in green. I'm like, "No, that's not the driver."
Like the valet you're talking about.
Yeah, the valet. I'm like, "That's not the valet. That's just the doorman." So now he gave him the money. He can't fucking take the money back, right?
That's the best day of that doorman's life.
So my mom's like, "Oh, leave him, forget it, man." Like it's this Greek thing. He's like, "Oh my God, your dad, man. Just I'll pay the door. I'll pay the driver, the valet."
So what did he give the doorman? Do you know?
I don't know. I think he had like $10 or some shit like that.
That's not bad for opening.
Are you kidding me?
The door open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just put it in his pocket.
Yeah. Sam, I will not protest if you take me to Milos or Da Vinci. In fact, I'd like you to take me to both.
Where's
we'll
Da
do
Vinci?
lunch
Well,
at
why
Milos.
have I
Da
never
Vinci's
heard
on. You've never heard of Da Vinci?
No.
Very
Unless
upscale
I have,
Italian
and,
joint on Bishop Street, below St. Catherine, between St. Catherine and de Maisonneuve. It's where I think a lot of the hockey players. What used to be Tommy Lasorda's favorite restaurant when the Expos were still in town and the Dodgers would come, and Tommy Lasorda, their manager, that he would always eat at Da Vinci.
What else is there?
Well, it's like around Grumpy's,
Okay.
where Cheers used to be.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, below on Bishop, below St. Catherine. So yeah, interesting mentalities, different mentalities, eh? Like,
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And you know what the thing is, man? People try to change them, and they try to bring them into this, the world that we live in. And I've given up. They're like, there's no way. Like, forget it. Just let them be. Just go along with it, and that's it.
What have you given up on, Sam? When it comes to me or Mom, like, are there things that we do that are old school that you look at us and go, "Fuck, man, they'll never change. I'm just not going to bother."
No, I don't think so. Like, and I think because like I live away, I don't see those like habits anymore, like the everyday habits that I might have noticed, like when I, living at home.
But we don't have like old school attitudes. Do we have old school out of date attitudes? Like George's father not wanting to go to the restaurant because why would you go there? Because I could make that. Because your mom. She'd love for you to take.
I was
going
to say, hey, Mom, we're going to go to an expensive restaurant. Okay, what should I wear? She'd be on board right away. Yeah. And then Allie, my little sister, would overhear it, and she'd be like, "I'm coming too."
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
I can be ready in 10 minutes.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
No, but I not that I can think of off the top of my head. Like, I mean, you're always, like stand up and shake someone's hand, look them in the eyes. That's like an old school. I feel like the younger generation these days wouldn't even think to do that.
Yeah, well, that's old school shit I learned from my father.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody walks into a room and you're sitting down and they walk over, you stand up and shake their hand and look them in the eye.
The elementary school that I went to, it's a French school, but it belongs to the Greek community, and it's a trilingual school. And when I was there, they had this old school teacher. Like he used to hit the kids. And
fuck, you can't do that.
You can't do that shit anymore. Yeah. And he retired when I was in grade 6. So our last year was his last year as well. And he was a tough guy. And he would hit kids. And everyone in the school kind of knew it. Everyone shut up because that's how they used to do it in the 60s. I don't know, whatever. Where was I going with the story? Oh yeah. The first day we had him in class, he walks in and we're stupid kids. We're sitting down and he's like, "You get up when people walk in this classroom. You know, you got to show respect. So every time this guy he had his class, anytime anyone would walk in the class, like another teacher or the principal or even him in the morning when he would walk in, we had to be standing. We had to be standing. And I mean, today, like you said, nobody thinks of these things.
Yeah, that surprises me because you'd be talking about the 1980s.
No, I had him
80s or 90s?
92.
Yeah, because that sounds to me like 1940s and 50s shit.
Yeah.
But Loyola would do that. My high school, like if another teacher walked in the room, you stood
You had
up.
to stand up, yeah.
Yeah, well, Loyola, that's the Jesuits, right? That's, Loyola's a Catholic boys' school.
Right.
Yeah, that's old school, big
Yeah,
time.
very much, yeah.
And you know what? I don't have anything, I don't think it's that wrong. I mean,
I think hitting people's probably wrong.
Yeah. Rewind.
But then I think about it. The part about showing respect.
Instilling like this,
Yeah.
old style kind of respect that they had for their elders or for I don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it's bad. And I think it's actually missing. It's lacking today.
Yeah. How much was your moral compass influenced by attending Loyola?
Oh my God. I liked, in elementary, I was like a big shit disturber. Like even just talking to my buddies, like some of my closest friends from elementary school, they were like, yeah, man, I don't know how you.
And this is Joseph Enrico at Durfee, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And
public school.
Public school. Yeah. And then I remember I went to BHS, Beaconsfield High School, which is like a public school, for one day.
Yeah.
And even then, like I had that, like, I don't care about anything attitude. And then the next day Loyola called and we're like, hey, we have a spot. Mom was like, you're going. And then even starting at Loyola, like I had that like kind of like shitty attitude. And then very quickly they were like, that doesn't fly here. So I like to think that Loyola kind of really helped like mold me into, a proper, like their motto is men for others. Like, you got to kind of like, they will, set you straight if you're misbehaving. So I owe a lot of like, just like I feel like who I am today, like, I feel like I'm a proper guy. I feel like a lot of that was influenced by Loyola.
Yeah. What happened to your brother?
Yeah, we need a few hours for that one.
Charlie got kicked out of Loyola twice.
Yeah. And I think he got kicked out of BHS twice too.
Did he? Yeah. God love him.
Yeah, that's got to be a record.
Yeah,
That's my boy.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. He marches to his old drummer, his own drummer.
He's the
actually.
youngest?
Middle.
He's the middle.
Because he's the sister. The sister's the youngest.
He's got an older sister from my first marriage, and then there's Sam, and then Charlie, and then Allie. Yeah, but that's just school's not Charlie's thing. It's not his milieu.
Is he working?
Yeah.
How old is he?
Charlie's 22.
Okay, he's young.
Yeah. He's like Charlie's. It's interesting. Charlie is like me in many ways, but unlike me in other ways, and in good ways. Like Charlie's handy. Charlie, he knows how to build shit. He knows how to do shit. He knows he's good with his hands. I keep telling him he should join the army.
Yeah.
He wants no part of it. But I think he'd be great in the military because I think it would give him some of the discipline and structure that he lacks that Loyola gave you.
Yeah.
And I also try to tell him, join the army and become a combat engineer. Build shit and then blow it up. What's more fun than that?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
I think he'd be great.
Yeah.
I think he'd be great right up until he punched his commanding officer in the face and ended up in military prison.
that was my question. How is he under the authority and because he doesn't seem like someone who takes shit.
And he gets that from me. I'm like that. I torpedoed my radio career by telling a program director to go fuck himself. Like I torpedoed my career for a 5-second adrenaline rush. Like in that 5 seconds, it felt really good. But that was basically the end of my career. Fuck you.
Yeah, well, he didn't fall far from the tree, did he?
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all when it comes to that. But what are you going to do? I live and learn.
Eventually, they find their path. I remember my brother too. He wasn't a troubled kid. It's just that he was bad in school. He had no direction, and then it just clicked, man. It just clicked.
It'll click with Charlie too.
It just clicked.
It's clicking. It's like it's starting to click for Charlie. I see it every time I come home. Like he's like a little bit, like he's
moved a little bit further down the road.
Yeah, he's taking a step each time I get back.
He's working now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's working he's doing renovations.
Yeah.
He's he's got shit that in a million years I would never have. Like he's got power tools and he's got like construction clothes. And
Yeah, like his Christmas gift was a tool belt and a hammer.
Yeah.
He was like, fuck yeah.
That's so far removed from me.
He's a man. He's a real.
Yeah,
he's a
and
man,
from
yeah.
my dad as well. As Terry DeMonte likes to say that, and this was true of my father. Terry says that his if you open up his toolkit, it's got the Yellow Pages and a checkbook. Yellow Pages is an old school reference.
Yeah,
but-
nobody understands
basically,
Yellow
yeah, that's me. I need something fixed. I got to call somebody.
Right.
Yeah, and thank God now it's Charlie who I can call.
That's it.
Chew, I need you to come over and fix my air conditioner. I don't know what's going on. Okay,
That's funny.
Yeah.
So what's happening in Toronto? We spoke about Toronto, I think, last episode or the episode before. Amazing city. I had never gone to Toronto. I think the first time I had gone to Toronto was in 2012, I think, with my wife, 2013. And I love that city. I had never gone before. And for some reason in the back of my mind, that rivalry, Canadians, Leafs, and Montreal, Toronto.
There's an old school Montreal mentality that goes back to the 1960s and 70s. Boring old Toronto where they roll the
There was
sidewalks
probably
out.
nothing there at that point.
At that point,
Yeah.
no, I lived in Toronto from 1980 to 85, and that's when it was starting to boom.
Right.
And now, and Sam can tell you this, it's a world-class city.
I love Toronto.
It's
It
a
looks fantastic.
world-class city, and we talked about this last week. It's the fourth largest metropolitan area in North America after New York, Chicago, and LA.
I'd like to have your opinion, Sam, because what I told your dad last week was that even though as a city it's beautiful, it's the downtown part of Toronto feels like you're in a major U.S. city. Like that's the vibe that you get. But the life itself, I felt, and I was telling him a story where it was Saturday night or Friday night, I can't remember, and there wasn't much going on. It was like 12:30, 1 in the morning. We were out with my wife, and I was like, "Where is everyone? Maybe we didn't know the happening spots, but I mean, when you're around the downtown area, I mean, you're going to see, you're going to hear, something has to happen." And I didn't feel like there was anything going on. Whereas in Montreal, any day of the week, if you go downtown, there's action. There's something happening. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So I want to get your feel on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, Toronto, it's very spread out. So, because the city's so big, like there's usually stuff going on, but it's also very big restaurant culture. So a lot of it is like, let's go out for dinner as opposed to let's go to the club.
Right.
But there are the club areas, like King Street is like the big like nightlife area. That's where, you'll have like the late nights kind of thing.
King Street East or West?
West, King Street West.
West of Yonge Street.
Yeah, west of Yonge Street.
How far west?
Like probably like a 2 or 3 kilometer span along King Street, just west of Yonge is where, or maybe like that's where all the nightlife is.
Okay, that's interesting because I think when I lived there, that was the business district. It was just office towers there.
Well, during the day, it still is like, like they're like all the banks are around there, like BMO's got their big building on King Street. But if you go a little bit further down, that's where all the clubs are too. And then like further west, it's a bit more like it's younger, like it's more kind of
hipster.
Yeah, it's more hipster. Like Trinity Bellwoods Park is where like like people in their like 20s, 30s like hang out. But I don't find it's that big of a nightlife city because there's also such like a grind culture.
Right.
What's that mean? Grind culture.
Grind like
You're out, it's hardworking. It's like I got to get my
it's an expensive city, to live in. So they're like, okay, I got to work to, like even myself, like I'm doing like 2-3 jobs kind of thing. Like I don't go out that much just because it's expensive to live there. I got to make sure I'm like making enough money to live there.
Yeah.
But there definitely is there is some sort of nightlife scene. But maybe you didn't see because it is really just spread out. Like people could be up in Midtown and they're out late at bars and stuff and whatnot. But I feel like here it's maybe more condensed just because it's also smaller. So it's kind of all in one spot.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, big Greek community in Toronto.
Yeah. The biggest in Canada.
Is it? Yeah. I used to live in a Greek part of town, East York.
Yeah.
My last place
They're
I
in
lived
Danforth,
in Toronto.
around that way.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
everything-
That's where I
everything
was.
is Greek
I was around Danforth and Pape.
Right.
A little north of that. Yeah, very Greek.
Well, they still have the massive like Greek festival on the Danforth. Yeah, it was canceled my first year because of COVID, and then I think my second year there, I don't know if they had it either, but apparently like it's a huge festival.
I've been to the festival. Yeah, and it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah, Phil X, who plays guitar in Bon Jovi, he's from Toronto, Mississauga, actually. Phil X.
Okay.
Yeah, his last name is a Greek name that begins with X. I don't know what
Was
it
he
is,
on-
but he
was
just
he in the
calls
original
himself
band,
Phil
or-
X. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe not. Hell of a guitar player. For
sure.
Yeah, he's got his own band called The Drills. You go on YouTube and look up Phil X and The Drills. They do a bunch of classic rock covers. They're really fucking good. You're never coming home, eh?
Nope.
So Montreal is out. Yeah, you're a Toronto guy now.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
over?
a Toronto guy. Like, yeah, I just got like a full-time job in Toronto, so Montreal is always going to be like, it'll always be home. It'll
Yeah.
always be, I'll come visit for the once-a-month rule that Mom implemented. Might have to go once every 3 months now, but
Why is the rule still in effect?
well, I mean, not necessarily. It kind of in effect, but I'd like to still come home. Like if I have
Yeah.
a long weekend or if I have, a few days, I'll just hop on the Via Rail. But
Yeah.
no, Toronto is where I am now.
Yeah.
But I'll still try to come home as much as I can. My barber's here. I got to come home I got my hair cut yesterday.
Did you?
I
Yeah.
got to come home and see my guy.
Yeah, and in what you're looking at career-wise, which is media in whatever form, whether it's in advertising, in broadcasting, in acting / producing, the only place to go from Toronto, I would think, would be New York and or LA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is in that industry, now that you mention it, immediately when you said it, I just thought about Quebec and how perhaps that whole French thing has not scared people away, but made it in a way that, the big firms and the big, the industry itself isn't going to ever be in Montreal.
Well, it was back in the day, pre-1976, pre-PQ government.
Yeah.
Canada was, Montreal was the media capital and the business capital of Canada. And the separatist movement and the election of the PQ chased all the head offices and
Because if you think of if you look at that whole ecosystem, I mean, and we spoke about this many times, Quebec is doing very well. Like the media is just a whole other
Quebec
world.
media is its own star system.
Exactly.
If Sam was French,
That's what I'm saying.
this is where he would make his
Yeah.
living, because there's the best way to describe the Quebec media ecosystem. Terry DeMonte used to tell me this. If you went to the Bell Building on Papineau, you could tell from the parking garage who worked in the English media and who worked in the French media. Because the French media, like, if you're in the French media in Montreal, you're not just in the Montreal media, you're in the Quebec media.
Yeah.
You're catering to an entire province. Your market is 8 million people. If you're in the English media in Montreal, your market is 300 to 500,000 maybe. So if you go into the basement of the basement parking lot at the Bell Building on Papineau, the Toyota Camry, the 2014 Toyota Camry, the radio guy on one of the English radio stations drives that. The 2023 Bentley, that's the French morning man. He drives that car. That's his car.
Wow.
There's big money to be made. You can be a big star in French media in Quebec,
Yeah.
but if you want to be a big star in English media, you got to go to Toronto.
Yeah, which is why we, my podcast, I mean, that's what I noticed too, because
Your French podcast is huge.
well, it's not huge, but it's picking up a lot
it's-
of.
well, it's growing,
It's growing
right?
way faster than we ever thought, and it just goes along those lines, right?
Yeah.
Because I was doing English, an English podcast talking about Quebec politics. And it's fine because that's what I'm interested in. So I always thought, look, as long as I'm doing what I enjoy, that's fine, and I don't care. But then, I started thinking, I'm like, okay, already it's niche, right? I'm talking about Quebec politics. So already there, you're limiting yourself. And I'm doing it in English. So who is an Anglophone that will be interested to listen to Quebec politics, right? So my pool was like so small.
Yeah. There are Anglophones in Quebec who are interested in Quebec politics.
We'll get a couple hundred downloads. Now we're in the thousands. I mean, it's
on the French
disgusting.
show.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
It's not disgusting. It's great.
Yeah, disgusting in a good way.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. Yeah. So that's what you're doing. You're going into the media kind of entertainment.
Yeah, like right now, like going more into like advertising. media world, like down the line, the goal is like film and TV,
Right.
Excuse me, like producing, show running, and then I think that's why my dad says like New York or LA is kind of more of the scene for that. But my thing has always been I want to implement myself in Toronto and kind of become someone there, so that eventually when I make the move, to the States, they're like, oh, okay, this
We've
guy
heard
has,
of you, yeah.
I have some credibility, as opposed to moving there now and then the back of the line, buddy.
Yeah.
Right.
This is interesting because and when your dad told me that you were going to be on, immediately what I thought about is the social media presence that you have. And we've laughed quite a bit here, looking at your clips on TikTok and all these things.
Thank you.
The presence that social media has taken up in everything, in every aspect, whether it's in what you're doing, whether it's in politics, whether it's in anything, like it's such a crucial must. Like you if you're not there, you're nowhere. Like forget
Then
about
the
it.
challenge is to cut through the clutter because everybody's there.
Exactly.
Everybody's there. So how do you cut through the clutter, Sam? Like, is there a strategy?
It's like there's the whole thing about you have to appeal to the algorithm and make sure you're using the right hashtags. I don't know how true that is, as opposed to just like if you make a clip that is
Good content.
Yeah, good content. Also, like it just takes time, I think, too.
Yeah.
Like I've my social media presence has grown by like a few thousand followers, you could say, since I've moved. But there are some people who, like overnight, they can gain 100,000. It's really like so.
And is that because they're already established?
It's either they already established or they have one video that just takes off and then celebrities start reposting it.
Yeah.
And then, what they
Well,
have
you
that.
had that experience, did you not? What was with the plumber, the football plumber clip?
Yeah, see, but that's the kind of video, like, I was like, we were filming a sketch and it was just like, like we had some time while the director was setting up and everything. And my buddy was like just throwing a football to me and I was playing the plumber. So I was on the ground. Like it was like just behind the scenes, like a little stupid little video.
6-second clip.
A 6-second clip, and then that one exploded, and like NFL accounts and stuff were reposting it. Chad Ochocinco reposted it, but we didn't plan it. It's so weird. So it's so weird. Like you could cut through the clutter because there's an actual strategy behind it, and whatever.
Or it could be something random.
Or it could be a random video that blows
right.
up, and that's it.
Yeah. So what do you do when you have that random video that blows up?
Like how do you sustain it?
Yeah. How do you capitalize on that and maintain the momentum?
Well, I've tried to like do like a part 2 of the football plumber thing, and like that didn't work out. Like it's not necessarily keeping up that act, but just making sure that
There's something new.
There's something new. Yeah,
Maintaining a presence.
Yeah, like what other 6-second video can I think of that would blow up, kind of thing.
Like I feel like there's so much pressure because I mean, you can be kind of like I am and just post and whatever, have a presence there. But when you're hitting huge numbers like that, I feel like there's this pressure of always showing up. Okay, now we can't stop. What's next? What's next? What's
Did
next?
you feel that with the clip that blew up on your?
There was a couple clips that blew up, and
on Parlay. What's the name?
yeah,
of the show?
Politiquement Parlant. No, I didn't feel the stress because we keep doing it anyway. I mean, we cut clips and we put them out every day. There's new clips going up and everything. So for me, it wasn't a big deal.
You didn't have to think about, okay, now what am I going to do? Because you're doing it all the time anyway.
It's a weekly show, and we know that episode gets clipped, and for every day we have our content that's going to go up, and whatever happens, kind of thing. So we don't really stress about it. But if I didn't have that, and I would put up a video that would suddenly get hundreds of thousands of views, if not millions, I would feel so pressured and stressed about producing more of it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. Like I feel that pressure as well, especially because you post one clip that goes viral, and then the next person's going to go viral, and then the next person, and then after a week, like no one remembers that you had that video that went viral because so many new people have gone viral and stuff. So sustaining and then like becoming like an actual online presence there is a pressure to it.
Yeah. So the broader term for what you do, and this is something that didn't exist when I started out in media 45 years ago. It's a post-internet term. You are a content creator.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is that what if someone says to me, what do you do? I say, well, I used to say I'm a broadcaster. Now I say, well, I was a broadcaster. Now I'm a podcaster. You would define yourself as a content creator?
Content creator, yeah.
And that's what your new job is.
Yeah, that's literally the name of my role.
Can we talk about that?
I don't know.
He's going to be he got hired. He's going to be a content creator in the advertising industry.
Exactly,
that much we can say.
That's
You haven't started yet, though, eh?
No, I haven't started yet. No, I started.
Yeah, we're not going to name anything, but just, what you're going to be doing. I can't remember who I was listening to. It was one of those, I think it was a TED Talk or whatever. There's going to be more people in the workforce that are making shitloads of money that have less education than the people making a shitload of money 20 or 30 years ago that had to get really distinguished by their diplomas or post.
That had to be doctors or engineers or lawyers.
Or a master's degree or whatever, yeah.
And that's because of the internet? That's because you can get rich now by making a funny video?
Because what you need now, the guy that has studied God knows how long and has a PhD wouldn't sit down and do these things.
Yeah.
But every business now, every company, everything, any industry that wants to grow needs to have a social media presence. And if you have these youngsters, 20, 21, 22 years old, that are fucking wizards and know exactly what's catchy and what's trending, and they can actually produce this for you, they don't need a fucking education.
Yeah, but I would still rather have an educated cardiac surgeon perform open heart surgery on me versus a social media influencer.
I saw a TikTok about this.
I saw a video. He's like, shit, I forgot what he does next. Playback. Okay, pause right there. No, we understand that
there's still a lot to be said about being a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer.
There's certain industries that will never change. Like, imagine having like some astronaut or some aerospace engineer. Oh no, man! Come on, man. Don't worry about it. Just attach that fuse over there.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, no. There's certain industries that you need what you need, but we're talking.
But it's opened up a whole new world of opportunity.
Yeah, and there's a lot of money to be made. Like, they're going to pay money because they know that their return is going to be there. Like, that's where you need to be investing right now.
Right.
Yeah.
If you don't have a social media presence, you're gone. You're finished.
Yeah. The challenge, though, and I'm finding this post-radio career, the challenge is getting to that next level. I have a modest social media profile. People in Montreal know who I am, but I need to figure out, how do I get that to another level? How do I get more people watching my podcast or podcasts, and whatever other content that I can create, because I've been through 2 expensive divorces and I got to keep working. I'm going to have to work for 5 years after I'm dead.
Just keep going. I don't know. Look, I think the trick is consistency, and that's what I've felt in our new podcast. And I think that works. And as long as you can maintain that constant schedule, I think you're going to be fine.
Poseidon, what do you think?
About
He's not even paying attention, is he?
Sorry, I'm
Are
just
you
doing
looking
some-
at pornography?
no, actually,
Is it on mute?
I was just wondering if the caption I wrote under the image that Little Bird took was any good, and I basically wrote decided.
And that's been taking 40 minutes of his time since we started.
It's decided to dress like a lesbian loan shark.
You wrote that?
Yeah.
Lesbian loan shark.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Lesbians.
speaking of media personalities, and we've spoken about this guy quite a few times on the show, Paul Arcand.
He's the guy who drives the Bentley.
He was?
Yeah. No. That wouldn't surprise me, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an example of someone who's he's a big Quebec star who makes a shitload of money.
Yeah, probably the biggest figure in media, I think, in Quebec. He has the morning show on the most listened to radio station. And he announced last year that he was leaving. I thought he was retiring, and I thought that's going to be cool. Let me just keep following him, see what interesting thing he's going to do. Because guys like that can't just stop, right? I mean, I was following Peter Mansbridge, and he retired, but he started a very successful podcast, and he's, they stay active, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was always interesting to see what the next phase is going to be. And I sent you the message, and I sent it also to Pantelis, and we disagree with Pantelis, and we can go into that. But he was hired by La Presse, the newspaper.
Yep.
A dying fucking industry.
Yep.
Hired Paul Arcand, who's going to be writing, I think, once or twice a week in the paper.
Now,
But-
when you say paper, it's not a paper anymore. It's
It's not a paper. It's
only online.
It's all online. But La Presse went through a huge speed bump, right? I mean, they lost funding. They had to convert into a non-profit organization in order to benefit.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Shit.
They had to convert the whole thing. They had to reorganize because the Power Corporation ditched them. They left as the main stakeholder. And they had to convert to nonprofit so that they can benefit from government subsidies, and it was horrible, right? They stopped printing, and they revamped everything on this online presence with La Presse Plus and all that stuff. So I'm thinking nobody reads anymore. I mean, I do because that's what I'm interested in, but nobody picks up a paper anymore or wakes up in the morning and
I
reads.
pick up the Saturday Gazette, but only because I like to do the crossword puzzle still
You know?
with pen and paper.
So it's
That's
a dying medium, and yet Paul Arcand decides to go on La Presse. So I don't know what money they threw at him in order to get him. But here's the interesting thing: La Presse has a podcast, and it already exists. I'm not so sure how much it's listened, how many people listen to it. My guess is probably not that many because I never heard of it before I actually read that he was hired by La Presse and that he was going to have a daily presence on the podcast in La Presse. So whatever he does now, it's not going to be a 3 or 4 hour show there that he has in the mornings.
Right.
It's probably going to be an hour episode, but he's going to do essentially the same thing. So the news updates and all that stuff that he used to do on the radio, he's going to be doing
with
maybe-
guests.
Maybe, but probably, I don't know, or his analysis. Probably he's going to
Yeah.
be more free to say what he wants, so it's going to be
For sure.
maybe even
Yeah,
better.
absolutely.
And I sent it to Pantelis, and I'm like, "Fuck, this is incredible." I sent it to you too. I'm like, "Wow, this is great." Paul Arcand is transitioning into the podcast world. I think that is much more of a reason that La Presse hired him than to have him as a journalist writing an article once a week. I mean, he spit out the lines when he gave an interview. I think he was on Tout le monde en parle last week, which is the most watched TV show every Sunday here in French. And he just used the excuse that, I'm looking for a new challenge. I've done TV, I've done radio, I've never written. So that for me is going to be something interesting. And I think that's bullshit. I think that La Presse hired him to pick up their presence in the podcasting world, in the podcasting kind of industry. And I think he's going to be terrific at it. So I tell Pantelis, and he's like, that's fucking bullshit, man. That's not podcasting.
Pantelis-
What we do is podcasting.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, man. Why? Because it's a legacy media kind of thing that decided to join in. I mean, look, podcasting is growing. Nobody can deny it, right?
And Pantelis got in on the ground floor of podcasting. I mean,
Right.
this is his studio that we're in right now. He hosts multiple shows, hosts as the I don't know if you'd call it.
There's
the
different
server.
productions happening, yeah.
yeah. There's all kinds of. I would have thought that he would welcome someone with Paul Arcand's profile getting into the podcasting game because it reflects, as you just said, the growth of podcasting.
Exactly. I think if you were to tell Pantelis that he's doing an independent production, it's going to be Paul Arcand, kind of like Peter Mansbridge did. He left the CBC and he did his own.
So Pantelis is suspect because he's connected with La
He
Presse.
thinks that
and
if
old
it's under
legacy
the umbrella,
media.
if it's under the umbrella of these big legacy media things that just want a piece of the pie, it's fucking bullshit.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, we'd have to wait and see, because is he going to be free to do what he wants and to express himself the way he wants to? Because if that's the case, then I don't care if there's an umbrella called La Presse above him. The fact that you are now kind of like on this independent format where you can say whatever you want, invite whoever you want, and express whatever opinion you want, for me, that's what matters. And I get what he's saying. It's like, CJAD and CTV and CBC, they're all on podcast platforms, but what they take the audio clip from the radio or the TV, and then just put it on the podcast platform, just so they can say that we have a presence there because it's a growing market and we need to exploit that, right?
Right.
So you listen to CJAD and Elias Makos on the radio, and then you can go pick it up on Spotify. For me, that's not podcasting.
No, it's not.
That's
just
bullshit.
They're just
Exactly.
recycling their
Vashi
material.
Capello, so she was on CBC, she's on CTV now, same thing. You can catch her on Spotify. You're not podcasting. I'm very sorry. That's your legacy media taking a piece of the pie from independent creators, and it's bullshit.
I think she got some work done.
Vashi?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I was watching her yesterday and I was like, man, she looks different.
Really? Well, she
Yeah.
just had a baby, so she took on a little bit of weight.
Oh, maybe that's it. I don't know, but I just, okay. All right. I take it
don't-
back
yeah.
then because she's very pretty.
She is. She's a
Yeah.
beautiful girl.
And she doesn't need to do work to look better.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's that she had a baby. I just thought, Botox.
She looks fuller.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows?
Okay. Well, maybe she looks fuller because she had a baby.
Maybe.
There you go. I take it back. I shouldn't have brought it up.
You were
Sorry.
whispering like she was in the room.
She's sitting right there. So I am excited because it's what you said. The fact now, and especially because I have a French podcast. So I think a guy like Paul Arcand is going to mobilize a lot of fucking ears onto the podcasting world. Even though he's under a huge label called La Presse, I still think that there's going to be spillover into other French podcasts, and especially some that focus on politics like ours. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
good
the
for you
fact
guys,
that
yeah.
you get a guy in that comes into the industry, I think it can only be positive. Now we'll wait and see exactly. Let's see how this is going to evolve, and if Pantelis in the end is right, because the fact that there's a big label, they're going to fucking control everything. And I think Paul Arcand is the kind of guy that if ever that's the case, he's just going to tell him to go fuck himself, and he's going to do it independently.
He doesn't have to. He doesn't have
He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah.
You know, like he definitely has the money to do anything he wants.
What do you think, Sam, about independent podcasts versus podcasts under a legacy media umbrella?
I feel like if there's another, well, the way I'm hearing it now is like there's competition coming in to the room, right? There's competition in the podcast landscape, which I think might. How do I want to say this? Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
There's competition coming in, so it's like, okay, what other podcasts are out there, kind of thing. I feel like maybe it would expose people to like other podcasts that they didn't realize might also be in the same landscape.
That's the way I look at it.
You're saying that as a good thing or a bad thing?
I'm saying it.
I think it's a good thing.
I think it's a good
exposure
thing
for the
too.
industry.
It's exposure for the industry, yeah. It's also competition, so you could
Yeah,
take.
that's fine.
Yeah, but it's exposure for the industry. Yes, that's the way I'm trying to say it.
But I think of it positively because in the traditional media landscape, you're all running to get the sponsor. Come to ours, we have more listeners, or we have better content, or whatever. Now, because it's one huge umbrella called podcasting, the statistics work in your favor because if you're going to see an advertiser and you tell them that, listen, in Quebec, here's the number of people that listen to podcasts in general. It's a growing number, and it's a good thing. We have a piece of that pie. This is, I see it positively because, and I think Poseidon probably knows this better than anyone. The people listening that are fans of podcasts, they don't just listen to one podcast. Would you say that?
100%.
Like if you are a fan of podcasting and you listen to one, you're probably going to listen to 3 or 4 or 5 other ones. I look at myself as an example. There's not just one podcast that I listen to. You have your favorite 3 or 4, and then you surf around. You're like, okay, what's out there? And
Yeah, I will quite often take a topic and try to find a podcast relevant to that topic. You know what I mean? Like, I'm interested to hear these days what people have to say about the whole the pro-Palestinian protests that we're seeing on university campuses now.
Ridiculous.
It's crazy. And that's something else I wanted to ask Sam about. Sam is apolitical, largely. He's right down, and stop me if I'm misrepresenting you, Sam. Like, I'm a conservative blowhard, right?
Yeah.
I lean right, and I'm not afraid to express my opinion, and that's part of my social media presence. And I'm not, I'm not hard right or alt right, but I'm a get a haircut and get a real job, stand up and shake the guy's hand and look him in the fucking eye conservative. And Sam is more down the middle and not even interested in politics particularly, eh, Sam? It's just not your thing.
It's not. No, it's not something like I'll see when I see stuff in the news. I'm like, I don't think to myself like, oh, no, that's wrong, or oh, I'm on that side. I'm like, okay, I saw it.
Yeah.
I don't like, and my friends are the same. My friends, like my close group of friends, because we really don't talk politics. So maybe that's.
See, this is interesting to me. What is it that just doesn't, light up there? Why isn't there an interest? Is it just something that you don't care about, or like I'm curious to know, especially when I speak to younger people. We struggled for a long time trying to get the youngsters more involved in politics because you want. The in French called la relève. You want people to, the continuation, right? You want the circle to keep going. We failed miserably. Maybe it was us. Maybe we didn't have the right approach. But I was always curious.
Who do you mean by we? Your generation or people like you who are active in
our
politics?
office, our people, our group of, me and my colleagues that we tried to get younger people.
When you were active in a political party.
Exactly. So we didn't really succeed much at getting younger people. We got a few, but not, we didn't reach any targets that we wanted, right? We wanted a huge youth presence. We didn't get it. That's not to say that the party itself doesn't have youngsters. I mean, they're involved. Maybe they like being more involved under the umbrella of the institution rather than helping individually each politician or whatever a specific office. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm always curious when I meet youngsters, especially like yourself, that aren't really interested or don't really care much. I'm curious to know why.
I feel like it kind of like tying back, like the presence of social media has become, especially for like a younger generation, more of a, just like that takes up more time. So they're like, oh, I don't really care to like see, what might be going on in the news kind of thing. And maybe that's a bad thing. Like maybe like they'd rather be on Instagram and TikTok as opposed to care about, what their country is thinking is the next move kind of thing.
If I go on social media and maybe it's the algorithm feeding me what it thinks I'm interested in, you would think that every person your age is completely caught up, especially on university campuses, and you just graduated, is completely caught up.
But that was always the case.
In politics and ideology.
It also depends what app you're looking at too. Like I know on Twitter, politics is like, if I go on Twitter.
And that's where I spend most of my time.
Exactly, yeah. So that's where you'll see a lot of it. But, Instagram, there's like people aren't posting all that much about, I don't see it. And maybe because that's your algorithm probably is feeding you what you interact with the most.
Right.
But I know Twitter is a very, very political app, especially since Elon Musk took over. Like, he's opened it up and been like,
he's very political.
He's very political, yeah. But I think I just don't see it that much, maybe because of my
you attend a university that changed its name because the original name, Ryerson, was a guy who owned slaves in the 1800s or whenever. So there was a movement that forced a name change of that.
What's it called now?
Metropolitan Toronto University, is that right?
Toronto Metropolitan University.
TMU,
It's a nice name too, though.
Yeah, it's very nice, yeah. But Ryerson was easier, and it was also, it was a legacy university in the Canadian education system. You're not particularly interested in politics. Your friends are not particularly interested in politics. What about your generation in general and the student body in general at TMU? Is there a big political presence there or dynamic on campus?
Yeah, I would say, especially because I'm in the creative school. I just find like a lot of the creative school people tend to be political as well. It's something I've noticed just
like being in the humanities.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So there have been like some like political demonstrations and like even at my school's like media award show last week, like there were people like bringing up politics in their acceptance speech and whatnot. So it's definitely there at my school. I would say, every day I would see, and like some people that I know from my, creative school on Instagram, like they'll post political stuff as well.
I don't know for sure. It probably happens in Toronto because it definitely happened in Montreal, and I went to Concordia. So Concordia has always been a very highly politicized university.
More so than McGill?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And I just feel like university is just the perfect space where you can attract the attention of thirsty, young, ambitious minds, right? And it's no surprise that academia in general is always left leaning a little bit, right?
Oh, for sure.
So
But
you have
university used to be about the free exchange of ideas,
Right.
where you could openly debate different ideas. That has changed now because it's gone so far to the left where if you don't have the right ideology, shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear your ideas.
there is no more debate, and
Exactly.
especially, I mean, the conflicts, and in general, politics. And we've spoken about this. They've gotten so polarized, right? Where you kind of tend to hear just one side of whatever conflict or position or policy or whatever it is. These days, it's the conflict in the Middle East. I remember when I was in Concordia, there was another conflict again in the Middle East, and there were huge demonstrations happening in front of Concordia.
Was it one of the intifadas?
Yeah. No, it wasn't. I can't remember what it was, but it was a very tense period in the Middle East.
Right.
And I remember the Jewish Studies Association or whatever, some Jewish organization at Concordia had invited Netanyahu, who wasn't. He had already been elected. He was out of office.
Okay.
So I think it was the former. He was a former prime minister at that time. They invite him to come and speak to the students. That day, I'll never forget. I come out of the metro at Concordia, and I'm walking down the school, and it's fucking chaos. It is chaos. It was the first time in my life I saw snipers in the rooftops. It was just psychotic. They had closed down the fucking school. They had a human chain around it.
These are anti-Netanyahu demonstrators?
Yeah. So it was, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? I had no idea. And then they're like, they brought the fucking Jewish guy. And, I didn't really understand much at that time. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? They had closed down the school. They literally closed it down. I don't even think he spoke. They managed to block that whole event.
Well, they closed down Columbia University this week.
It's getting violent. It's getting like to the point where I'm actually worried. And
I am too from what I'm seeing on the street.
We exchanged a few things before the show, and there was a demonstration the other day in front of Parliament Hill.
Yeah.
And it's getting violent.
Yeah, the demonstration
and violent, let's understand, people aren't fighting or killing each other. It's verbal.
Yeah, they're inciting violence.
Exactly,
The demonstration in front of Parliament Hill that you were talking about was a pro-Palestinian demonstration where they were openly celebrating October 7th. And October 7th was when Hamas went into Israeli settlements and murdered, I think the number was 1,200, somewhere between 1,200 and 2,000 people, murdered them in cold blood, butchered them, and raped women, and murdered little children and entire families. And that was being openly celebrated on Parliament Hill. People were chanting, "Long live October 7th."
Yeah, exactly.
And that's incitement to violence against...
So the question then becomes, and we're going to get into a little bit of the politics here. I know your son isn't there, but the Liberal government's policy has been really strict on hate speech, and we all certainly reacted to it with the bill they're trying to pass. And we're probably wondering what's the future of independent broadcasting like this is, right?
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to say what we want, or are we constantly going to have someone monitoring what we're saying, deplatforming us, or whatever? So there's so much attention being put on all this hate speech. And I'm curious, when there's actual hate speech happening, nothing is being done. Now I heard that the Ontario Police will be investigating on that matter.
Yeah,
So
the
I guess
Ottawa police are going to investigate.
Yeah, so we'll wait and see what's going to happen before jumping to conclusions. But I hope that there's repercussions. And there was a demonstration early on in Montreal with Adil Sharkawi, who was this huge influential person in the Muslim community in Quebec. And there were thousands of people. We spoke about that on St. Catherine, right at the corner of the main police station downtown, like the headquarters, where he was talking and he was really fucking expressing hate, and we got to kill them wherever they are, and blah blah blah. And he was citing verses of the Quran, and obviously taking out of context, because the Quran, just like the Bible, I mean, essentially it's similar philosophy, but it's obviously taken out of context in many of these extremist religions, and nothing has happened with that guy. The Bloc Québécois in Ottawa was the only party that tabled a bill to have a stricter presence on hate speech. they requested that he get arrested, and nothing has happened. So I'm not so sure what's going on. I think there's an ongoing investigation on that guy as well. But at some point, some results need to start coming up publicly, and some arrests need to be made because it's getting out of hand.
Yeah, well, it took Prime Minister Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland, his deputy prime minister, and other major political leaders, and also Pierre Poilievre, the conservative leader. It took all of them a full day or more to speak out and condemn those.
I guess they wanted to watch and to see for themselves, because that was Chrystia Freeland's argument. She was giving a press conference.
She's full of shit.
I don't like her at all. But I think she was in Laval because I recognized Angelo Iacono sitting next to her there. Angelo he gets elected up in Laval. And they asked her the question. And she goes, "This is what happened. What do you have to say?" In my mind, whether you saw it or whether you heard it firsthand, or whether someone tells you this is what was said, I don't think you need to watch it.
No.
To say, well, let me take a look at it first.
Yeah, that was her response.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to learn more about it.
Yeah.
You're the fucking deputy prime minister.
You
if you don't know about it already, then what have you been doing? Where have you been?
But you know what? Even if it was a hypothetical situation, Ms. Freeland, what if someone were to say, "All hail October 7th"? Does it need to happen? No, it doesn't need to happen.
Yeah.
If that
you
is
need to look into that.
Yeah. If
that's open incitement to hatred and violence.
If that even were the context of if that's the context, whether it's hypothetical or whether it happened, your answer should be the same. It's unacceptable. We have to condemn it right away. You can't do it, whether it happened or not. If that's the context, if that's the thing, fuck off. It can't happen. It can't happen. And there needs to be, everyone is kind of passing the ball here. Nobody knows what to do with it. You have the municipalities who technically are in charge of the police force, right? They're saying, well, look, this is a criminal thing. It's we're managed by Quebec, so they're technically, it's the Minister of Public Safety that has to outline the direction. They asked the provincial minister that says, well, this is a criminal thing, and that's the criminal code, that's federal. So Justin Trudeau needs to tell us what to do with that. Hate speech and hate crimes and all that stuff. It's not our field. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the feds don't do fuck all. So I don't know what's going to happen. And to go back to the example you said about the U.S. campus, given all that shit happening on their campuses, I think they converted their classes online. They went back to online.
Columbia shut down and all the classes
How
were
much
online.
sense does that make? How much sense does that make? Instead of the university enforcing and say, listen, you want to fucking demonstrate, get the fuck out of my property.
Yeah, well, I
don't care. I don't want it.
I guess they're
go on the street and you got to leave the path free for people that want to come and study and that want nothing to do with this.
They're afraid of provoking people to violence. Did you see the Alec Baldwin video this week?
I love Alec Baldwin.
Did you see the video this week? Yeah,
and I think if I were him, I would have punched the woman. He just grabbed her phone. Yeah. I would have punched her, and I would have punched her way faster than he reacted. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it.
Alec, you know who Alec Baldwin is?
Yeah.
I'm going to bring it up.
Are you going to find it? Yeah, he's a famous actor. He was recently charged with involuntary manslaughter or something because a woman was killed on a movie set.
Well, he shot her.
He did, eh? Yeah. With a gun that was a prop gun, but it turned out to be loaded. So this woman, this like crazy as a shithouse rat woman, cornered him in a coffee shop, and he's known for. He's had several instances over the years where he's bad dados.
Oh yeah,
that's what Sam calls me when I lose my temper. Bad dados. Yeah, he's a bad dados, like times 10. He's recovering alcoholic. I think he's got close to 30 years or more of sobriety. But he's still, he's a great example of how drinking is a symptom of a deeper spiritual malaise. And if you're not on top of your sobriety, you're not going to have a good day.
First of all, the poor guy looks like he just woke up.
Yeah.
He looks like he just woke up, went down the corner to grab himself a coffee, and he looks like
he needs a meeting. I was hoping he's on his way to a meeting.
And he's like, can you fucking let me wake up?
Just leave me the fuck alone.
He didn't have his morning coffee yet. I get the man.
Yeah. So anyway, this is it. And this woman is this woman's crazy.
They're fucking stupid.
Yeah, and she's just baiting him, right?
Poor guy. Yeah. He's probably calling his lawyer. What do we do?
Need headphones?
Yeah, put them on.
Why did you kill that lady? You killed that lady and got no jail time? No jail time, Alec?
Sorry.
No jail time, Alec. You're putting innocent people in jail, Alec Baldwin.
I'm so sorry.
Free Palestine, Alec, just one time.
What?
And I'll leave you alone. I'll leave you alone, I swear. Just say free Palestine one time. One time. One time.
Call the police.
One time, Alec. You know he's a criminal. You know he's a fucking criminal.
Poor guy doesn't know what to do.
Come on, Alec, just say free Palestine one time. One time, just one time.
He's
Free.
so
And I'll
patient.
leave you
Here
alone.
comes Bad Dado,
Free
Sam.
Palestine. Fuck Israel,
Stand
fuck
by.
Zionism. Please say it. One time.
Could you do me one quick favor?
Yeah!
That look like anybody you know, Sam?
Yeah, I've seen that before. Yeah.
You know, if someone comes if someone comes after you, you know, with a gun or an arm or harasses you or whatever, and you defend yourself, you get away with it. Why isn't that considered the same thing? Because now they're probably going to fucking destroy this poor guy. She's probably going to sue him. Oh, he attacked me.
Total provocation. Yeah, but she's fucking nuts. Can you go to my Twitter account?
See.
I posted
Oh, yeah, I see it.
I posted a picture of her. And she's look at her. There she is. She's fucking crazy.
That's the lady?
Yeah.
She looks fantastic.
She's crazy. Yeah. A friend of mine responded to that, Madonna. And I said, yeah, the Bukkake tour.
That's funny.
I thought you'd like that, Poseidon.
What is wrong with people?
Well, she's crazy.
I understand, but what fuck?
Well, she's crazy and she's an attention whore. And so she's
So that's the actual lady that was harassing him?
yeah.
Are we sure it's not AI?
I'm pretty sure that's her.
She has all her fingers.
Yeah,
so-
that's her 15 minutes of fame. And what was it you that sent me the AI thing the other day of LeBron James?
Yeah.
What AI thing of LeBron James?
There's all these LeBron AI memes, and LeBron's talking about like, oh, you know, I was in Jerusalem with the boys. Jesus was there. John, Bartholomew, all that, and like the AI it's scary because it
looks like
even
he's actually saying this shit.
The mouth is moving like
Yeah.
LeBron is saying all this stuff. You know, I had a bad feeling about Judas, and I pulled Jesus aside, and it looks like LeBron saying all this. It's crazy.
Yeah, Sam sent it to me, and it's funny, but it also said to me, you can't fucking believe anything anymore. Anything you see online, you can't believe it. And that could actually be a very dangerous propaganda tool.
even the speech patterns are getting good. Like it's no longer like this robotic kind of sound.
Yeah.
Like they have the like they have all these things now.
The tone is there and everything.
I'm gonna find that and send it to Poseidon so that
on Twitter.
we can
Send
play
it to me on Twitter.
It was an Instagram clip.
Yeah, you sent it to me on Instagram, Sam? Let me find it here. I'll see if I can send it.
Jerusalem.
There it is.
Breaking bread with
Breaking bread with all the boys. Jesus,
That's so fucking
Peter,
funny.
John.
But that's voiceover AI. That's not real.
No, it's got the video and
It's
everything.
video too, yeah.
I'm going to send you. Can I email you the link?
Yes, absolutely. Email.
But it's a link
but
to
that-
Instagram.
Shit, I don't have my password.
on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Man, this is like a.
What about
this
Facebook?
is deja vu from last week.
What about
Just,
Facebook Messenger?
Send it
Does
to
that
him on
work?
Twitter.
Yeah, on Twitter I have my password. I remember
Okay,
it.
all right, hang on. Let me see.
Yeah, their DM there on Twitter.
Yeah, I'll post it on Twitter like I did last week when you said this is the most old man moment ever. Poseidon taking the piss last week. Yeah.
It's incredible the you know how the technology has advanced so quickly. Like you could take clips of the actual LeBron James and the app will just take that and make anything you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just posted it on Twitter. Poseidon, have a look,
Ah, let us
see if it's there. But yeah, it's fucking. It looks totally real. It's like he's saying that shit, you know. And I thought to myself, it made me laugh. But then I thought, fuck, you could what a dangerous propaganda tool that is. You could take a world leader and make it appear that he's saying something like, you know,
Controversial.
yeah, provocative, and it's just here.
What's
here
that
it is.
sound?
What sound?
There was like a bunch of knocking on the desk.
I don't know.
For some reason, it was off.
I could see Judas wasn't eating his bread or drinking his.
Yeah, the lips are like, you can know that it's
Yeah.
AI. I mean, it's not
Maybe he's
100% there, but it's still good.
Yeah.
But then I remembered him getting wasted and demolishing a tower of flatbreads at Peter's 20th birthday.
That's AI?
Jesus
Yeah.
aside,
Yeah, but that's taken from real footage, though.
Judas. I feel like he's plotting.
Oh, but yeah, when he passed the hand.
Yeah, you saw it in front of his mouth.
Someone was going to betray me, but I didn't think it would be Judas. Thanks, Bron.
Oh, yeah, look, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, that's pretty fucking
yeah.
good.
Jerusalem.
Yeah, yeah.
But this could,
breaking
this could
bread with
fool
all the
people.
boys.
Yeah.
Jesus was there. Andrew.
Well, yeah, stupid old fuckers like me, it could fool. Like,
man.
no, seriously, a young person would know. Oh, yeah, that's AI. But you show that to somebody who's not savvy about the internet, and they would totally buy into it.
I didn't even know they could blend real images with AI. Now, because I thought they could create video from AI.
Well, they could do that too, but now this is probably a real video.
Yeah, it's a
They
real
mask-
video.
They mask the mouth, and it's just like the mouth says something completely different from what he's probably saying.
How easy is it, Sam, to make something like that? If you know what you're doing.
I think it's easier than people might think. I think you just download like the right app, and then you kind of put in all like you were saying, like you find an actual clip of LeBron or whatever, and then put it in. So okay, they have his like face or whatever, they have his voice, and then the script like make LeBron say this.
Yeah,
And
Really,
it's as
that's
easy as that.
crazy. That's
Even like
fucking crazy.
Like there's this whole thing about there's beef right now between two artists like Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
yeah, I heard about this.
Someone made an AI track for one of them, like a diss track, and the guy showed his process. Like, yeah, it took me like an hour, but I took a few breaks to eat. It made a whole diss track. It sounds like Drake. It's all real. And then Drake made another track with AI, and he put Tupac and Snoop Dogg AI on the track. And Snoop Dogg was like, what? Like, I don't remember this. And then a lot of people were saying it was disrespectful to Tupac of like, putting him on this song, like he's dead.
Yeah.
But through AI, like, and it sounds like him. It's pretty nuts.
Were you really in a Drake video, or was that AI?
No, I was really in a Drake
He's in a
video.
Drake video.
Yeah, with a dog mask.
That's right. Yeah.
What's the video?
It's the first-person shooter music video. Yeah.
But we can't play it. I get taken down.
Yeah, yeah,
By copyright.
Show it. Yeah, copyright.
Oh, true.
What's the
well,
song called?
believe me, please. I was
Yeah,
in
he
it.
was. Yeah.
First person shooter.
First person shooter. Yeah. How did you get that gig?
It was like I know some buddies who know the producers that Drake works with on music videos, and then I was out for a coffee with one of my director friends, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow night? I have a question, and I think I already know the answer." I was like, "I'm nothing." He was like, "You want to be in a Drake music video?" And I was like, before he could finish, I was like, "Yes."
Of course.
Yeah. And then we got there. We were just going to be a few extras. Like we were all going to be in dog masks. And then they were like,
And they shot it in Toronto?
it was in Toronto, yeah. And then they were like, okay, we need like someone to be like the lead dog. And then we were all standing there with their
Big
dog
dog.
masks on. Yeah. And they were like, this guy. I was like, me?
You're the big dog.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, it was very
And
cool.
I saw you recently in a Guru. What is it? Energy drink? Guru energy drink commercial.
Energy, yeah.
How recently was that shot, and how did you get that?
That was shot a month ago, and I knew the videographer because I had worked with him when I was doing my the Celsius Fits interviews with like Penny Alexiak and Anthony Sorelli there, the hockey player.
Right.
He was the videographer for that.
Okay.
So his company, they
Those are online ads.
online ads, Yeah, and then he was like, "Hey, do you want to be in this Guru shoot?" And I was like, "Sure." And then he's like, "I have an idea in particular for you," and then that was the ad that you saw.
Right.
See, this is what's amazing, right? Because you start collaborating with certain people, and then it's just this thing that keeps rolling, right? I mean, one guy's going to work.
It becomes who you know, and then between knowing the right people and having the ability, that's when things can really start to cook for you. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's one thing if you have the ability, but you don't know the right people, then, you're behind the eight ball.
Yeah,
or if you know the right people, but you can't produce, then it's not going to happen either.
Yeah, that's also why it's important, like, to be very active on social media. Like, I wouldn't have met any of these people had I not been, posting my stuff. That's how they found me in the first place.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like these people.
Like your comedy videos?
Yeah, exactly.
And again, I don't want to talk too much because you haven't started working there yet. But eventually, since you're the content creator, in this new role, is there a possibility that you call those guys and say, hey guys, this is what we're thinking. Do you guys want to produce, or do you want to, put something together?
I think that opportunity is there. Like if we wanted to put something like kind of bigger scale, I could get some of those people.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Everything comes just full circle.
I was looking at Sam's website the other day. Is it samuelbird.ca?
Yeah.
And I didn't realize, I hadn't seen the Prison Pants TV. Sam and a couple of his buddies have a YouTube channel called Prison Pants TV, and they did a bit called We Joined the Mob.
I saw that when you posted it. Yeah.
That's from 2 or 3 years ago.
That's from last summer.
Last summer?
Yeah.
Fuck, that made me laugh. I thought that was so funny. So funny.
Just outside on the street.
Yeah, we were just riffing, and then my buddy Rory's like, let me grab my camera. And then we just shot a bunch of...
Yeah, Rory's really funny. Did you tell me that he has like Larry David aspirations?
Yeah.
Because he's that funny.
Yeah.
He really is. He could, but again, that's a case of he's got to, if he meets the right people, gets the right breaks, makes the right decisions.
Yeah.
He's, that was a funny video. Can we watch that?
We could.
Yeah.
Which video, sorry?
You posted it, I think, somewhere?
Yeah.
Or,
on
TikTok.
not TikTok.
Well, it's on YouTube.
Yeah. What's the YouTube channel?
Prison Pants TV.
Nice.
Isn't that a great name?
That's a great name. Sorry, I blanked out for like 3 minutes. I just realized.
What's going on?
I don't know what the hell happened for 3 minutes, but like my brain went empty.
Dude, you've blacked out since 10:30. You pressed go live, and then you just...
You're thinking of all the loans.
Yeah, the only thing that threw me off about that video, Sam, was that it ended randomly. Like there was no real ending.
Oh,
to
that's
it.
the one. We joined the mob.
Well, no, the ending was some guy was like, hey, can you guys shut up? You're being so loud. We're like, oh,
All right, here it is.
Yo, this is so cool.
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. Check this out, Poseidon. You'll like this.
Hold on, let me turn on the audio and put it up for the peeps at home.
What you looking at?
That's Rory.
Such a hoodlum. Hey, hoodie hoodlum.
Rule number 1, don't brush your teeth.
What you got? Yeah, I got some of that none of your business stuff. Fun. That
Sheepy big
How you doing? I haven't seen you around in weeks. I'm into the ghosts, I'm the goblins, but... What are you talking? You didn't get too much alcohol now, or what? No. Last time I saw us, you two together, you were eyeing down the supplies.
Oh, not but no grandma's nin supplies, huh?
You think you're this cool guy, tough guy? I'll tell you, you're gonna end up with a bullet in the back of your head.
They're gonna try to put a bullet in the back of this head, it'll bounce back right in your face.
Rule number 2, don't brush nobody else's teeth.
Made from real leopard skin, wasn't it?
Made it myself, me and my pop before he got hit by that truck.
His arm was on the sidewalk and his leg was up in the air for about 3 minutes, they said, before it came down.
Who's coming after me? I need a name.
Don't tell me it's Tony Rednuts.
It's Tony Blue Nuts.
There's brothers, there's always up to trouble.
What's your plan for the future, man?
What the f? I haven't even thought about what type of yogurt I'm gonna have in my cereal tomorrow. Miss me with that strawberry shit.
What flavor you want now, man?
Hey, I've been looking for the banana, but being too
I
loud.
like it when Rory's trying to hold it together.
Sorry.
This is where Buddy told you were too loud.
Yeah. Then I came along. Why did teacher make fun of me in school for my life?
He says that to everybody. My grandmother made this jacket. Her name is Lollipop Lichtenstein.
What?
Named after my grandpa.
I change schools every year because of his whiz.
My most prized possession, probably my grade 5 volleyball medallion. Hey, it's made with real silver. You should have seen the look on their faces when I come up to serve.
Is it true you heard that? Yeah, it's true. No real ending.
Yeah. That's funny. So you guys were doing that in like an alleyway in Toronto? And
Yeah, it was
one of
like-
the neighbors said, can you guys shut the fuck up?
Yeah, the guy came out and he's like, it was like 11:30 at night. He's like, can you keep it down?
Very guerrilla style.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny though.
Picture a bunch of guys just laughing at 11:30.
That's funny.
I would have freaked out also.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's funny. That's quality stuff, but it's got like a few hundred views.
Yeah,
eh?
like mid 200s, I think.
Yeah, and fuck. So how did that, that goes back to my original question about cutting through the clutter.
You just got to keep going, keep posting. And then even like I read online, even if a video some people repost a video like up until like 8 times, and then finally on like the 8th, it gains traction.
That's true.
Yeah. So you just gotta keep going. If you do it, I feel like if you do this for the views and for the money and blah, you're gonna lose motivation. But if you do it because you enjoy it, you're just gonna keep going.
Then the rest takes care of itself.
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to talk to you guys a little bit about a story, and it sucks that we're going to finish with this, but it's still fascinating. There was a family that from Quebec that traveled to Cuba. All right, I shouldn't be laughing. They go on vacation, everything is nice, and then the father gets a heart attack and he dies in Cuba. So obviously it's sad. Family comes back to I don't know where they're from. Let's say it's Montreal, but I think it's some other city in Quebec. Doesn't matter. So they come back, whatever. They're expecting now the Cuban authorities to ship the body back, and they send the wrong body.
Nice.
That sounds like a Larry David show.
Larry, the funeral,
the wrong body.
like they had.
I don't know.
They had planned the funeral last weekend, so Saturday, Sunday that just passed. And obviously they couldn't do it. It wasn't the right body.
Oh my God!
How ridiculous is that? Can you imagine that? Like I don't. First of all, no, I don't want to. I don't want to imagine anything like that. But just think of that poor family. Like they had to go through obviously the fact that they lost their father, right? The husband or whatever. And then they send you like, how does that work? Like they go to a morgue somewhere, they open the thing, and it's like another body. It's like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Could you imagine if they didn't know until like the funeral and it was like open casket? Like that'd be...
They bring in the casket, they open, he's like, who's this guy?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Who the fuck is this guy?
Stunt double. Yeah. Like you say, you shouldn't laugh, but still,
No.
that's a sitcom. That's a sitcom episode. That's a Larry David sitcom episode. There was a great episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where one of Larry David's elderly relatives died. It might have been his aunt, and they put him in charge of writing the obit and putting it in the paper. But he had a typo, and for aunt, instead of an A, he put a C. So that's how it ended up in the paper or online or both. And in the episode, there's his father's going, Larry, you put beloved cunt. What's the matter with you? I didn't know.
He's so funny.
Yeah.
This is the last season, I think, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That had like a 20+ year run.
Yeah. Off and on and off. I think they had stopped a while.
Yeah, and he was already enormously successful as the co-creator of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
The guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. Well,
and he still continues to do it.
Yeah. In Curb, he was Larry David.
Yeah. He played himself in Curb. Yeah. Yeah.
funny.
I don't know. Talk about inspired. I got fired a month and a half ago, and I'm liking, even though I'd have no money, I'm liking not having to go to work. Like I'm thinking to myself, shit, man, I wish I had money. I could get into this retirement thing. I like getting up in the morning and going, what am I going to do today? I'll go over to the
Stretch your
studio.
legs a
Yeah, I'll
little
go over
bit.
to the studio and I'll do the podcast with George, and then maybe later, Sam and I are going to a hat store after.
Oh, okay.
I like that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to have to find something to do because I'm going to have to pay the bills.
I think it's good news all around because I don't want to, and I don't even know. So it's not like I'm announcing anything, but to have you have a bigger presence in the podcasting world, it definitely something that you can think about.
Yeah, well, hopefully that's what I'll be able to do. I'll be able to make enough of a living. I don't have to make a whole lot of money because I get my pension check now, so I just got to make a little bit of extra money. All I want to do is pay my bills. I've done all the shit that I wanted to do in life. I just want to pay my bills.
See, the advantage you have is that you have this reputation. People know you. You can go and knock on doors and get sponsors because they know who you are. You come with a following. You have the reputation, and you have the credibility as well. Whereas if someone like me goes, hey, you want to sponsor? It's like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, but still, and I've had this experience, and I've only knocked on a few doors, but with the Standing By podcast, Terry and I, it's still a job to go out and sell, man.
Sure.
And we're not good salesmen. Like, we're good at what we do. We're good broadcasters. Yeah. But when it comes to Terry does a great imitation of us doing sales. Would you like to buy a sponsorship on our podcast? I don't think so. Okay, sorry to bother you. Like that's us doing sales.
That's another thing that Charlie has that he didn't get from you is like being able to to negotiate. We've talked about
Charlie's a
this.
salesman.
Well,
And a negotiator. Yeah, I'm a terrible negotiator, but I'm a shit salesman. I can't even get to the negotiation point because I'm a shit salesman.
Yeah, but Charlie's really good at that.
Well, then maybe I should hire Charlie to sell the podcast.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll get
that's
you
it.
some deals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If Charlie, if someone's like, oh, we'll do 300, he's like, I was thinking more, 325, maybe even 350. But if that's us,
well, that must have skipped a generation with me because both of my grandfathers were very successful entrepreneurs, and Charlie has that entrepreneur streak in him. And you have to be, I think, to be a successful entrepreneur, sales and negotiating skills are part of that. And I think both of my grandfathers were very good at that. But me, I'm not.
I suck at that horribly as well.
Yeah, but you're a successful businessman. How did you build a business by sucking at that?
Yeah, no, you're right. I don't know.
You must have some skills in that area.
Yeah, I mean, we've done pretty well, and we're continuing to grow, and it's really, your traditional cold call and hey, we're in the area, and this is what we offer, type of thing. And what do you say we come over and take a look at your place and make you an offer?
But you run a commercial cleaning business, right? So you have that's a concrete, palpable service that people can use. Advertising's different. When you're selling advertising, you're selling something that's more. What's the word I'm looking for? It's
intangible. It's
intangible. That's the perfect word. Yeah. How do you measure return on investment?
I think the best approach is to go after, and this is what I would do, because I don't do any advertisement. I mean, there's zero money, there's zero revenue coming in from my stuff. But if I were to be there, and again, I don't want to talk like an expert, I would look for companies that already advertise, and you just have to sell them that, look, dollar for dollar, you're getting way more for your money in this medium than traditional media. Yeah. And I know what media costs because I used to buy advertisement when I was in politics, and it's fucking expensive. A radio spot is expensive. Yeah. Even a local newspaper, and we're talking about a community newspaper, not even the Gazette or La Presse or whatever, but a community, like a local paper. It was a fucking expensive thing. It's
not
horrible.
anymore.
I don't know. I mean, no, they must charge what they used to, if not maybe more, because they need to live, and they still get those people.
Yeah. Well, one thing about podcasting is if you're trying to sell advertising on a podcast, you can sell it. I think you can sell it cheaper than legacy media, and you can also tell your potential client, look, this is where everyone's going now. Yeah. This is where everyone's going. People are going online, and people are going to podcasts. Mm-hmm. Legacy media is I don't know if it's. I think it's dying a very slow death. I think it's still around. Radio advertising is still, you can still get your money's worth out of radio advertising. Print advertising, not so much, but television advertising. People are still watching Hockey Night in Canada. Yeah. You can, I'm sure an ad on Hockey Night in Canada still costs money. Yeah. But in the big picture, advertising is moving online. So
I think so too.
Yeah. I think.
And again, look, I'm no pro, but my initial reflex would be get the guys that advertise locally already, because the argument
Yeah, well,
is
that's
there.
what Terry and I do. We're local. It. We go local.
Because you can't go after like a Molson or whatever that can pay the big bucks and have national coverage on TV or whatever. You can't offer that. Yeah, or maybe you guys do. I don't know. We don't have that kind of listenership. But if your listenership is local and you know that there's companies out there that spend, and I know what it costs on local newspapers or local radios or whatever, and if they do invest that money for a local visibility, then you can definitely get into that market and get that money.
The worst, absolute worst, is print advertising. Because every time I see a pamphlet on my car, the first thought...
It goes straight to the garbage.
Not just that. The first thought I get is, who the fuck touched my car? Yeah. And then I look at the company and I go, well, they can go fuck themselves.
No, but they see... Yeah, there's that frustration. But my reflex is... They're still spending money on it. Like, there's still companies that are going to invest in that. Yeah. Like, I pick up the Greek newspaper, and there's companies still in there that advertise. Like... how many people read the Greek newspaper anymore, man? I mean, half of it is just an obituary. It's all
Or
the
people
older
with
guys
spending
dying.
power.
Why don't we get Marvin's to sponsor this podcast?
Get them. Do they advertise Marvin's?
I have no idea. I don't think they need
probably
to
don't have
advertise.
to. Yeah, they probably don't have to.
Well, you know what?
Another great selling point about podcast advertising is once it's up there, it's still there. Like a radio spot, it's on for 30 seconds and then it's gone. It's into the ether.
But that's also changing now, with podcasting. There's this thing called the dynamic ad insertions, where if you listen to a Joe Rogan episode from 5 years ago, the ad is going to be the latest one that's there on the new episode.
Okay, because on our podcast, if you listen,
you say it on air, so it stays there for the life of the show.
If you listen to, we lost Jaguar Land Rover Laval as a sponsor, and God love them. They got on board in the beginning and they helped us launch the podcast, but they've moved
Their
on.
ads are still there in the previous seasons.
Their ads from previous seasons are still there, even though they're no longer a sponsor.
Exactly.
What's going to end up happening with that is that podcasts will start charging more for permanent ads.
Yeah.
For forever ads, and then because otherwise they're just gonna be able to go back and replace every ad. You know what I mean?
Look, the major podcasts that I listen to, like whether it's Rogan or I listen to what's his name, Conan O'Brien, and even the guys at Smartlist or whatever, they do dynamic ad insertions. So. And I've tested it. You can listen to the latest episode and then go listen to an older episode. It's the same ad. So I don't know how the technology works, and I guess eventually we're going to have to find out.
And I guess that factors into when you negotiate your advertising contract, right?
Yeah. Because and when you're that big, it makes sense, because why would I have you on my episodes if you're not paying me?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
But for smaller podcasts, though, it's worth it because you definitely use that as an argument.
Yeah,
Say,
and
look,
that's
your
us,
ad is
smaller
going to be there
podcasts.
forever.
Have to pee.
Yeah, and so we can allow Mr. Berg to go take a whiz.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening.
George,
thank
look
you
what I'm doing.
every fucking week, every week.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Do subscribe on the Pantelis YouTube channel and help Poseidon grow his YouTube channel as well. Go follow him.
The Poseidon 69.
The Poseidon 69. I am Poseidon.com.
platforms.
He has his website, and he's trying to grow his presence. You can head on over to Politiquement Parlant if you know or understand French and help support our page. It's growing quite rapidly, and we appreciate that. Standing by the Terry and Ted podcast, brand new season, episode 2, just released this morning. Go listen to it. It's Freeway Frank. Who doesn't like Freeway Frank? I mean, everyone grew up listening to this guy.
Yeah.
An interesting story, so you can go check him out. And Samuel Bird, thanks for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, likewise.
And do follow him because he looks like he has a very promising future.
He does. SamuelBird.ca, and you're also on Instagram, YouTube. What do you call what's the ticker talker that all the kids are on these days? I heard the Chinese are in charge of that.
The Chinese.
The U.S. just
One Chinese, 2 Chinese.
U.S. has just passed a bill to ban it.
No,
Yeah,
they
there's
passed it or they're considering it?
They passed it, but there's like something else that has to click. But it's not looking good.
Really?
For the states. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
That's,
But we can still get it in Canada?
Yeah.
Okay.
But usually what happens in the U.S. spills over into
Yeah,
Canada,
yeah,
so it's
yeah.
kind of an indication of where we might
It's
be.
going to turn into a dead app.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you live again next Wednesday. Take care.
Yas.